Writing topic number 2 by
Jenna.
Jack.
Dawson. Before we start, here's a video we found discussing the harmful chemicals and negative effects of embalming.
Brings in for the kids to fetch. Not so fast. Formalin, which is the formaldehyde-based preservative solution embalmers use, is incredibly toxic. OSHA deems it a dangerous carcinogen and strictly regulates its use, and the EPA treats it as a hazardous waste. Embalmers experience higher levels of brain, colon, and prostate cancer, as well as leukemia. To embalm a typical body requires 3 pounds of this formalin solution, and sends 120 gallons of untreated funeral waste directly into the sewage system, including blood, fecal matter, organ fluid, and carcinogenic chemicals, as well as whatever unknown diseases the body contains. Okay, cool. So modern funerals suck, but what are the other...
Now that the process of embalming is better understood, we can use the newly gained information to analyze Mitford's Embalming Mr. Jones. Within the article, Mitford describes the process of embalming a corpse. As a group, we determined that embalming and the restoration process is unethical. This opinion was derived from both Mitford's description and further research. Specifically, Mitford mentions that the process of embalming is never mentioned to family of the corpse out of fear the service will be denied. This was an instant indicator that embalming is an unethical process. Although some try to justify the process with religious beliefs, there are actually no religious doctrines which encourage this process. Embalming is simply detrimental and not worth its harmful effects of exposure to hazardous chemicals and unsanitary conditions. Embalming risks exposure to 3 main chemicals: glutaraldehyde, phenol, and formaldehyde. Glutaraldehyde is known for its presence in disinfectants, and phenol is found in many cleaning products. The most controversial of the 3, formaldehyde, is a harmful carcinogen. Ingesting or inhaling these chemicals may lead to skin irritation, vision disorders, respiratory issues, and even intestinal damage.
So I will be focusing on the second part of the first body paragraph and discussing the harmful psychological effects that embalming can cause. We have all experienced the tragedy of death in our lives in some form, whether it be a relative's death on our side or someone else's side of the family, or a friend who suffered a death, and realize that the psychological effects that take place when death occurs can be detrimental on a person's mental health. However, instead of embalming helping in the healing process by glorifying a deceased relative and making them look better, it can provide actually the opposite effect. So an example would be if a loved one was suffering from a disease before they die and it caused hair loss or pale skin, seeing them after the process of embalming with clear skin and good hair could make a person burst into tears thinking about what their life was like before the disease. So the intent of embalming can provide the opposite effect, because if a person sees their relative look like this, it would only make them mourn more.
Okay, so for the second body paragraph, it focuses on how the embalming process is unsanitary, and it promotes the transition of diseases from one individual to another. It is lesser known to the public, but the process of embalming poses huge risk of transferring diseases such as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This happens because the process of embalming requires contact with blood and other body fluids from the dead body. There have been a large number of studies and tuberculin skin testings that determine embalmers are twice as likely to contract different diseases. Within those diseases include serious pathogens such as HIV and AIDS, which is known for it being incurable. Therefore, the negative effects of embalming practices outweigh the potential benefits that have been argued for embalming.
In the conclusion, we restate how toxic chemicals are used to embalm the body and how it is also toxic to the mortician. We also restate how embalming increases the chance of transferring diseases and microbacteria through contact with bodily fluid, and how this could lead to a possible outbreak if embalming continues. Here are two questions based off of the overall presentation. One is a yes or no, and one is a true or false. In this process of embalming, is it dangerous to the mortician? And embalming increases the chance of the spread of microbacteria and harmful pathogens. Number one is yes, and number two is true.
These are
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.